The trade deadline is getting closer and closer, and the rumors are growing every single day. On today's episode, we're going to break down the Chicago Bulls' real options. Stand pat. They can either make smaller trades and be sellers, or they can take charge and actually be a buyer at this year's trade deadline. We're talking about all the names floating around from Zubac, Kuminga, Sabonis, Anthony Davis, Zion. We're talking about it all. And, of course, we're going to get into the voicemails as well because it is Mailbag Day. All that and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. And we're going to go ahead and look at everything, man. So with today, there's a lot of rumors going on around the Bulls, a lot of rumors with the Bulls being linked to other rumors. And so I want to have a roundup today before we get into the mailbag portion of the day, just kind of go over all the Bulls' real options at the trade deadline this year, because I do think some people think that it's more than what it is, but, you know, we'll break it all down. So the first thing I think before we get into all of this, we have to look at which players that the Bulls have on expiring contracts. A lot's been made of it. I know we talked about this at the start of the season. The Bulls have a number of players on expiring contracts. They have almost $90 million in expiring contracts. One, you have Nikola Vucevic at $21 million expiring contract. You have Dosunmu at a $7.5 million expiring contract. Coby White at $12.8 million. Kevin Huerter at $17.9 million. Zach Collins at $18 million. Javon Carter at $6.8 million. Dalen Terry at $5.3 million. That all adds up to $83.9 million in expiring contracts that the Bulls do have. Now, that does not mean that the Bulls don't want to keep, or that they want to trade every single one of those guys, but the Bulls have 7 expiring contracts worth $89.3 million. The Bulls also, after the trade last year that sent Zach LaVine out, they have all ownership of all their own first-round picks, meaning that they aren't like some of the teams that can't trade, picks in certain years. Now, of course, the Stepien rule still applies. You can't trade first-round picks in back-to-back years, right? But the Bulls have access to trade any of their first-round picks if they decide to do so because they have ownership of all their first-round picks. They also have the Portland-protected first-round pick that is top 14 protected. It's lottery protected, which means that if the Trailblazers make the playoffs, the Bulls get the pick. That's basically just the easiest way to simplify it. We have protections on that pick for the next 3 seasons, 26, 27, and 28. If it does not convey by 2028, I believe it converts to a second-round pick, I believe. So that's what the Bulls have at their disposal. So they have that's what they have basically as assets. Now, of course, they can trade players that aren't necessarily on expiring contracts. Every player doesn't have to be on expiring. So if a team is it's unlikely, but if a team is interested, for example, in Patrick Williams, they look at Patrick Williams and they say, hey, we feel like we can maybe rehab him here. Please do. Then the Bulls can trade those players as well. So even like Isaac Okoro, who has a year left on his deal after the season, can be eligible to be moved, those type of things as well, right? So they have more than that. It's just typically, from what we're hearing around the rumors, picks, expiring contracts, but for what it's worth, we've also heard rumors that Trey Jones and Jalen Carter also are players that teams around the league have been interested in because they do have years on their contract past this season, and they're really reasonable contracts. Trey Jones has a team option all the way out to 27-28, but that's a team option at only $8 million. Jalen Smith, for that matter, he has a contract over $9.4 million for next season. So the Bulls have more assets that they can trade, especially that still aren't long-term money if teams are interested in that. I guess Julian Phillips would be a part of that as well. But then let's get over let's go over the options of what the Bulls can do at this trade deadline. First one, stand pat. Which I still think is the most likely scenario. I'm not going to blow smoke up y'all asses when it comes down to it. Until AK shows otherwise, I still think the most likely scenario in all of this is AK still stands pat. Maybe one small trade, but I think the most likely is we pretty much stand pat. AK has been basically risk adverse since the Nikola Vucevic trade. He's been very safe on trades. We do the one-for-one player trades. We don't usually get a lot of picks or send a lot of picks out. So that's what the Bulls come down to, as I think that especially if the Bulls do start winning once everybody's healthy, I still think the most likely scenario is that the Bulls stand pat. Not necessarily the best scenario. I just think that is still a likely one. Now, keep in mind, even if the Bulls do stand pat at the trade deadline, they still have the option of trying to facilitate sign-in trades with their expiring veteran contracts. Because keep in mind, teams that they may have their mid-level exception, but if a team wants to keep their mid-level exception for something else, they can do a sign-in trade with the Chicago Bulls for their free agents, and the Bulls can help them get a player, stay under the cap or whatever else. So there's still a chance, even if the Bulls don't move some of these expirings, that they can still be a part of deals even after becoming unrestricted free agents. So just keep that in mind as well, right? But then let's get into option 2. One, smaller but smart trades, aka be sellers, right? That means that you're not necessarily making the big swing trades that don't necessarily make you a super better team now. It could be to stack assets. That's one of the most common ones in this. So use your expiring contracts to say, hey, you want Kevin Huerter? Cool. We'll take whatever expiring money that you have, so we maintain an expiring, but we want to protect it first, or we want a couple of seconds, whatever it is, right? That's still very much a realistic option here for the Bulls. And I do think in a lot of ways it's the safer option. And thus, I think that it could be something that AK does do, is that he plays it safer in that case. And, you see the smaller moves, not necessarily the big swing moves. And that's what we've heard, for the majority of the season. We heard that the Bulls were probably going to be sellers, meaning that Coby, Ayo, Huerter, Zach Collins, Jalen Smith, Trey Jones, like these players that teams that are trying to load up for a playoff run that they could want on their team that can help their roster, help their playoff run. And that's what we've heard. And I still think that may be one of the most likely scenarios. In this case, you're probably getting draft picks, or you're getting a young player back on a roster that thinks they're championship ready, and they don't have time for that young player to develop. Think Juan Behringer with the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? A lot of Bulls fans want that guy if Coby or Trey Jones or somebody goes to Minnesota. So think moves like that, right? So moves that on paper don't necessarily change your win-loss total right now, but they do give you a nice young piece to develop, which is kind of what we've seen AK do in a different way. Like Josh Giddey was a young player that clearly was ready for a new role that wasn't going to be there for him in OKC, and he's blossomed into that. So that type of move, I do know there's a large segment of Bulls fans that if that's the move that they do, they're just going to complain about it. But, it's still a realistic option that you move players that you may still want, that Bulls fans may like, and that you get a piece that you may need in the future, that you can develop for the future. That's still a big realistic option here for the Chicago Bulls. And I still think that it may be the second most realistic, because I just don't see the Bulls being huge buyers, but we'll talk about that here in a second, right? So that's it. Like draft picks, young players, you're prioritizing those type of things, not necessarily going full tank like some Bulls fans want to do either, but not being buyers, somewhere in the middle of that. Then the next option, of course, is to be buyers, is to use your expiring contracts, to use your draft picks, and go out there and try to get you a star. And reportedly, there are a number of ones that are available. We'll talk about the list of ones that are potentially available that could make sense for the Bulls. But that is the more high-risk option, and that is the one that I still think is less likely. Of course, you're hearing things of some stars that may be available for expirings, much like Trae Young was. There was some talk that maybe Zion could be that, but we got a new report that the Pelicans aren't actually looking to move Zion, so there you go on that one. But I do think the Bulls are going to try to safeguard themselves against being in a Vooch situation, meaning that you trade for a player, and then while that player is really good at that point in time, Vooch was coming off an all-star year, you end up looking back on it and say, damn, we probably shouldn't have gave up those assets for that veteran right then. So the Bulls may try to use pick swaps instead of outward first-round picks, trading first-round picks outright for that to safeguard themselves a little bit, but it's still an option that's there for sure for the Chicago Bulls. We just got to see if they're going to take it, right? So unprotected first, protected first, a mixture of your expiring contracts that to try to go all in and find a star. So, Haize, what stars are reportedly available? Now, with this, I'm just going off what reportedly is available. People that say things like trade for Amen Thompson, he's not available. People that say like trade for Jalen Duren, he's definitely not available at the season that he's had. So I'm not doing those type of things. I've seen a lot of comments being like, we should go out and get Amen Thompson. What the hell makes you think that the Rockets, who are trying to be a championship contender, and their youngest player that is probably going to be their star when it's all said and done, what makes you think that player is available? Stop smoking dick, y'all. But so reported, these are the most widely reported players that are available for the Bulls. One, it was Zion Williamson, who was reported, early yesterday. It got reported that Zion the Pelicans may look to move Zion in a move similar to Trey, to where they'll take expirings back, just kind of rid themselves and focus more on their younger Jeremiah Fears, Derek Queen, stuff like that. But then a report came out at the end of yesterday that said that the Pelicans not only are not looking to trade Zion, they're not looking to trade Herb Jones, they're not looking to trade Trey Murphy. So that took a number of the players that I kind of like potentially for the Bulls off the table. But it seems like the Pelicans are playing it smart. They are going to allow the pieces that they've had there for a couple of years, on top of mixed with these young pieces that they've developed over the last couple of years, over the last offseason, and see who fits, who doesn't before they make a decision on trading players out. The next one that's been most commonly rumored to the Bulls is Jonathan Kuminga. Now, this does not count as a star acquisition. This would be getting a young player that has been on a team where he hasn't really gotten to be himself. But then again, I don't know about the fit there. There's a huge questionable fit. He's available. Reportedly, his trade value has dropped too because the Warriors haven't been playing him, and the market seems low on him, so he could be a low-risk option. Reportedly, there's some talk that maybe you can get him for just the Vooch contract. I don't necessarily hate that, but we shall see. Next up, Domantas Sabonis. A good player, right? But I don't think he fixed any of the Bulls' issues. Now, he's good, and I can't be mad, I guess, at the Bulls trading for a good player, but he does nothing for the rim protection. He is a better rebounder than Vooch, and he stays his ass around the rim. He doesn't take a lot of threes, which is really good for how we need to play, but I don't think it changes much because it doesn't add anything defensively. It just gets you a better version, and slightly different of what you have now at center with Nikola Vucevic. So there you go. I do think Sabonis does fit better in a double big lineup than Vooch does. So maybe there's that positive to it as well. It gives you more flexibility in who you can put next to Sabonis. So maybe there's that part of it. Next up, Anthony Davis. No doubt that AD is a star when he's on the court. The problem is he's hugely injury prone, and he's due a contract of nearly $60 million where he doesn't play 60 games a season. So that's where you're running into with AD. I do think he's available. I just don't know if that's the right move for the Bulls right now. It's trading for an often injured player with a contract that large with what you would have to give up for it. I just don't think that that's the right one, but a name that's available. Next up, Zubac with the Clippers. This is probably my favorite guy on this list. I think that his contract is low enough, $18 million. You then have another year or so, I know at least one more season, maybe two, of that contract after that. So it gives you a couple of years to find your starting center of the future. He's 28 years old, and I think he does solve a lot of what the Bulls need at the center position. I like Zubac a lot, and it doesn't seem like he need a whole lot to get him, but we'll see. Next up, Michael Porter Jr. To me, Michael Porter Jr. is Zach LaVine. He's better. That's not fair. Because we've seen him play on a championship team where he did contribute to winning, and he played as a role player. And yeah, there were some times where he absolutely went off, but I think if you're trading for Michael Porter Jr., expecting him to be your star, then you're falling short of that one. And he's, again, making over $40 million. And then, of course, you have the guys that have been mentioned that don't really fit, LaMelo Ball, Ja Morant. These guys don't fit with Giddey being your point guard because, again, we've seen Josh Giddey is best when he plays actual point guard, and you don't try to force him to play out on the wing or the perimeter or anything like that. Josh Giddey's a point guard, so I left those players off the list. But there are a number of players that the Bulls could go out and try to get. It just depends on how you look at it. Like I said, I left off the Jalen Durans. I left off Walker Kessler because I don't think you're going to make a trade for him. You could make a trade for him at this trade deadline, even though he's not going to play this season. But I think if so, the Bulls are just going to wait to try to go in that in restricted free agency, and that's the case, right? So that's kind of the trade primer right now for the Chicago Bulls. We may do this once every couple of weeks up until the trade deadline, just as new rumors pop up and stuff like that. But we'll see. Ultimately, I still think the Bulls stand pat, but I'd love to hear from you guys on that one and how you think and what you think the Bulls will do. All right, let's go ahead and get into this first voicemail, man. This one's from Jay.
Hey, what up? This is Jay from the 219. I know you're a big analytics guy, man, so I got a question for you. In my opinion, man, I feel like our offense is relying too heavy along this analytic crap. The last few games, it's been happening for a long time now, but it's really starting to nag me. All we do is shoot 3-pointers and get to the rim. No mid-range, nothing at all. I'm watching the Detroit game. We got a man behind the play. It's a 4-on-5. Ayo shoots the 3. Boost taps the rebound back. Vucevic shoots the 3. We missed both of them. Now, if it's a 5-on-4, we're down by 5 points. Why are we not trying to tap the rim and get a layup? We just shot 2 threes and missed both of them. I feel like, man, we need to stop being so 3-point heavy and let these let these guys score from all three levels. Like, completely taking the mid-range away, I think it's a terrible thing. What you think about that, man? Let me know. Peace.
The problem is that the Bulls aren't using analytics the right way. All the analytics point to the Chicago Bulls taking more mid-range shots and more shots in the paint, right? Two of their lowest percentage. So not restricted area. In the restricted area, about 36% of our offense is coming from the restricted area. That's good. When you look at mid-range and paint, only 4.7% of our offense is coming from mid-range, yet we're one of the best mid-range shooting teams in the league. Paint, 16% of our offense is coming in the paint, so that's that high post area before you get to the restricted area where we have the 9th best field goal shooting percentage. We need to take more shots there. So I get it. Like I think teams in general, when you look at, people think that analytics just means, oh, well, the analytics say that three-point shot is more valuable than a mid-range shot, which it does. But I think you also need to look at the analytics of what's it telling you for your roster and your team. That's where the Bulls are falling short at. We should be taking much more mid-range shots. I'm not saying that 40% of our offense only comes from the mid-range, but I'd say healthy 15 to 18% of our offense should be coming from the mid-range. And I think that would open up the three. I think that would open up the driving lanes. I think that would open up a lot for this team and make the offense easier. So I completely agree with you. Let the threes come naturally. Don't be this high-volume three-point shooting team just because you can. Go out there and look at what the data is telling you of where your hot spots are on the court. That's real analytics usage. And that's where Billy Donovan and his coaching staff, in my opinion, have been falling short. But that's just my thought process. But great points there, Jay. All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Jeremy.
What's up, Haize? It's your boy down here in Oklahoma. Checking back in. Just been watching a couple of shows. Locked on Bulls, too. Just wanted to make a couple of quick comments. But, you know, I don't think a lot of people kind of envision the future that, I mean, I see some great things to come. You know, hopefully if Noah can work out. I mean, you got Noah, Mattis, and Giddey. I mean, that right there alone, they're all young, tall, you know, length, you know, can run up and down the floor. So that alone, I mean, I know obviously we need a big man, someone that can protect the rim, actually scare somebody in the middle. But, you know, damn, sometimes Pat just sounds like he's ready to drive off a fucking cliff. I mean, excuse my language, but Jesus, man. I mean, he acts like we're just, you know, hopeless with no kind of future. And I'm actually excited for the first time. I've been a Bulls fan for over 45 years. I'm excited for the first time in a long time. That's what I can say. And then to touch on another topic, which you touched on, the caller that loves to hate on the white guys and all that shit. You know, you come in here trying to sound all smart and everything, like we're all just happy being where, ain't nobody fucking happy where we're at right now. But you don't go from nothing to being a contender. You go from nothing to hitting the 5th, the fucking 6th seed, and then you keep building. So don't tell me that I'm happy with where we're at and blah, blah, blah. You know, I mean, I'm tired of all, you know, a lot of these callers bring something to it. Give me a stat, give me a something why you hate, you know, Kevin, why you hate this guy, hate that guy, you know. Tell me why Coby's just like Zach LaVine. I mean, get the fuck out of here. And stop pausing in your calls, too. Some of you guys kill me. I think you had a stroke in your damn call. I mean, you pause for fucking 10 seconds and shit. Let's spit this shit out. But I'm happy. I'm excited for the future. Let's fucking go. See red. Sorry for being in a rant. Peace out.
The Bulls do have some promising young players, which is more than we can say about a lot of the Bulls rosters in the past for sure, right? There haven't been a lot that have been these teams that have a young promising talent. Like you said, Josh Giddey, Manas Buzelis, Noah Essengay is still that. Hell, I mean, listen, even Dosunmu still, like, look at the growth he's made this year. Like, it goes to show you players aren't done growing just because they get to 25 years old, right? So, yeah, I think a lot of Bulls fans, though, are rightfully so, just tired of waiting, which I can definitely understand. They're tired of waiting for us to be good consistently, and I can't blame them on that, you know, especially the ones that quote the 10 years and all this. It's been a long time, so you're right. As far as the end of your voice, you're talking about Vaughn, alternate Vaughn is what I call him, but you're right. Some fans think that high-level thinking means that you're saying, well, I was a fan of the Jordan Bulls. This ain't no championship roster. And ignoring the steps of how you have to get there if you truly want to be able to sustain it, right? It's not as simple as just boom, clicking. It's not even as simple as getting the right players and boom, you're a championship. You have to have the right players, the right coaching, the right support, all that type of stuff. So I get it. There are a lot of fans that are that are tired of waiting, and I try to understand that to a degree, but still also be reasonable in that tired of waiting. But there you go. Thank you for that, Jeremy. Let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from A1.
What's good, Haize? This A1 from over east. My question for the mailbag is, do we have any room on our team with all of these two-way contracts to just go sign somebody that's sitting at the crib? Like, I know it's somebody, some 6'10" mod sitting at the crib or something that we could just grab as a space for some height deficiency that we got going on. We just need some boards or something. Like, I ain't trying to get nothing to the point where, oh, we gonna get a mug and this gonna change the whole dynamic of the team. No, just like a pencil in or something. Like, ain't Horford at the crib? He's too little, but still, like, there's gotta be somebody at the crib, chilling, unsigned, that we could just grab. If we got the space. Let me know.
So the Bulls don't technically have any open roster spots, A1. They have no open roster spots. But they were granted a disabled player exception due to Noah Essengay's injury and being out the remainder of the year. So they do have a spot how they can sign a player and try to get one in here. But I don't agree with, let's just go get a 6'10" guy who's sitting at home, because just height alone ain't going to help the Bulls. It's more toughness. Like, people who are heightists like Vince McMahon, it's not just about height. Like, yeah, I'm not saying that it doesn't play a part in the times as well, but you need somebody who can go out there and play tough and get you some goddamn boards, right? That's what you need. But I don't trust any of the guys sitting at home. Like this usually sitting at home for a reason. So, I hope that the Bulls are looking around the trade deadline. We'll see what we have. But, yeah, signing a player outright, we'll see. And the buyout market. Wait for the buyout market. That could be where maybe some players pop up as well that AK could be waiting on. Could be. Because I don't like giving him the benefit of the doubt on shit. All right, let's get into the last voicemail, man. This one's from Larry.
What up, Haize? This is Larry out of Mobile. Yeah, just watching this season, and it seems like it plays out a little bit similar way that it has with some of the other seasons. But the wins and losses weren't necessarily the most important thing about this season anyway. It's about developing to find out who we had to keep long term. It looks like Modest is going to take a little longer, but there's signs coming up here. Giddey is who the player was we thought going after last season. And that's about all we know as far as going forward. Coby is been in and out, and I don't know what's happened to his handle. I don't know what's happened here. But the reason for the call is really got our point, is based on the players that have deals that are up this year. And with the trade deadline coming up, who do you think the Bulls should be looking to keep going into next year? I'm thinking Io is the only clear choice. But I don't know. Coby, I don't really know based on the number he wants. I don't know how that's going to work out. But the other question is that, was Io offered an extension? It looked like that we were in line for him to be able to get a number that was a re-signable number in the 15 to 20 area. Was he never offered the extension? Was there ever any reporting on that? I know we don't know anything hard, but was there any reporting on whether Io was offered an extension and he turned it down, or if the Bulls didn't offer one? If they didn't, that seems like a miss. But either way, appreciate it, Haize, and look forward to your answer.
Who should the Bulls keep after this season, man? Here's the thing. First, Coby and Io both couldn't sign. Well, they can, but they wouldn't sign extensions because the way the extension rules work, you can only make 150% of your contract, right? The base of what you're getting paid in that final year. Whereas because they have now been in the league longer than 5 years, by waiting until their contract expires, that's where you hear like the Coby can get 30. That's where Io can get 16 to 18, things like that. So that's why you're having that. So no, the Bulls didn't make an offer because the Bulls understood they were going to have to wait till they became free agents before you can really offer them money that's worth it. And that they would take. Now, you do have the exclusive negotiating window, which I think is like 3 days to a week before they officially hit the open market, where where you have that you can negotiate with your own free agents and still give them the most money possible. I think that's what's going to happen there. But as far as your answer on who to keep, I don't think I could really make that decision until after we know what's going to happen with Coby and Io at the trade deadline. After that, ask this question again. around like March, and that's where I'll probably have a better, more well-rounded answer for you on that one. But that's going to do it. That's our time for today. That's the mailbag. You guys can leave voicemails as well, which we'll always read on the show. The Bulls are at a crossroads that they've been at for years. And the wild part is that they've got the tools really to go in any direction that they choose to. $89 million in expiring, all their picks to trade. That's serious flexibility. Now, the simple question is do you trust AK to do it the right way? So let me know in the comments down below. How do you feel? Stand pat, sell for assets, or go and get a real difference maker for this team and be a buyer? Let me know what you guys think on that. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share it with a Bulls fan as well. You can always follow us at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.